I got some bad news for you. He won't be back until tomorrow. Hopefully awake and not hungover, but we'll see. He's still off on his honeymoon. My guess is they're traveling back today, or they're already back and, they're hanging over today. But how we doing, Nick Frazier?
Fantastic, man. A wild weekend. Obviously, you graduated from college.
Yeah.
So now, welcome to the real world, Connor.
Yeah.
It is different. It makes you feel a lot different. Like there's nothing looming over your head anymore of graduation. It's like, all right, we're in the real world. Let's go do something. I don't know.
You guys had Friday, and I got to listen to a little bit of you and Brandon Bigsby on Saturday. Sounded great. So I didn't get to listen to a lot of it, so I'll go back today and probably listen to the whole thing. But you guys, from what I heard, sounded great. I had a little bit of an earbud during my commencement speech, of which I cannot tell you who did it. I honestly don't even remember. So
that'd be a good question today. But who spoke at your graduation?
If it was someone cool, like Jelly Roll or someone like that, I'd remember. But it was like Here's the thing: I had to move graduations because my sister got confirmed on Saturday,
right?
So I had to be there. So I got there at 9 a.m. So I was graduating with all the liberal arts people.
Nice.
I knew no one there, but I got one of the bigger pops. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Look, when you're not the solo man out, but like you're not with your group, you have a whole posse with you that just brings the roar.
Yeah, I know.
So
fortunately, there were no air horns permitted.
Yeah,
or cowbells. This isn't Davis Wade.
Hey, don't worry. We travel. We travel well.
Well, I mean, now is the time where I cut my babyface promo because this is like Raw after WrestleMania for me,
right?
Like the big event. So I mean, I've got a lot of people to thank. First and foremost, this is going to sound like a sideline interview, but it's God first. Without him, I would be nowhere. Of course, my family, my parents, my brother and sister, all my family who traveled from out west to come see me. You guys, of course, Nick, you've been my first co-host. You and Jake,
duo,
yeah, kind of came up together. So you taught me a lot. And Parker messes with me sometimes, but he's one of my better friends. So thanks to him. Of course,
sometimes,
all the time, every other day. 3/4 of the 75% of the time I'm around him, it's just him screwing with me. I'm gonna try and do this quickly because there's a lot of people to thank. But Chase McCabe, obviously, my biggest mentor. We'll find out what happens next with him and me. But that's not to go inside baseball, but big things are coming. I mean, all the hosts: Robbie, Joe, Jake, Lyman, Chase and Big Joe, DVD, Ian, David Janes, screw it, Jared. He doesn't know it, but he helped me as well. And, we have our differences, but at the end of the day, I respect him and I hope that he respects me. So I thank him. TD, Max Hers, Pete and Jay, everyone, all the part-timers. I mean, there's no shortage of people to thank, but it's a big achievement. It is a weird feeling. 16, 17 years of school and just like that, it's over. And now all I got is student loans to pay off. So here we go.
There you go, man. It's definitely a supporting cast behind you for sure, man. Very proud of you. And big things to come, man. We'll love to see it.
Yeah, I cannot wait. There's a lot that's going to be happening, I'm sure. I don't know, but there's a lot.
Yeah, so with all the partying over the weekend, did you catch any sports? Were you able to kind of sit down in the lazy boy and just kind of just relax a little bit?
I caught a little bit of the Cardinals yesterday, which I kind of regret watching.
Yeah.
But it's okay. But I've been kind of out of touch with the NBA and the NHL play. I mean, I've been keeping up with it, but I haven't had time to sit down and watch it. Baseball, when I've had the time, is what I've been watching. But with the sports, I mean, we're in kind of the lull period too, which is kind of helpful. Where it's kind of just baseball right now that I really care about. And when we get deeper into the playoffs, I'm sure I'll start making that appointment television. But
yeah.
It's been such a busy weekend. I really didn't have the time to process everything until last night. I logged into the class portal for like the last time ever just to check out my grades. And was like, let's see if they're trying to pull a fast one on me and just take my degree from me. Fortunately, no, all A's. So that's good. But last night it hit me and I was like, holy bleep. I'm an adult now. I'm a grown up. Now I'm a tax paying adult. No more $78 tax returns for me.
There you go. I'm telling you, it hits you pretty fast, and it makes you have to really fix your morning routine or afternoon routine, whatever it may be, because that was me. Like, I had to figure it out quick.
Well, I got to figure things out now, because now it's like, well, now what? I don't have a daily schedule anymore, and maybe that'll change here shortly, but I don't know what to do.
I feel like it's a good thing for our call and text line to give Connor a little advice. The guy's graduated now. What is your advice for Connor Nute? Like, that's a good thing to kind of reiterate.
I would take anything. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Chip from Mount Juliet asking, what announcement was just discussed, as he missed the front end of the conversation. I have graduated college. It's kind of been the forefront of the discussion for ever since I've worked here.
Yeah.
The amount of times that you've been here too, where Chase has just busted into the studio while I'm on the air. Hey, when are you going to hurry up and graduate? And now he doesn't have to ask that anymore.
Yeah.
Now he can do with me what he wants in a working manner. This is a PG show.
There you go. There you go, man. No, yeah, very happy for you. Some sports stuff over the weekend. I believe Brent Schnedeker won the Myrtle Beach Invitational, if I'm not mistaken.
I have no idea what that is.
So. Brent Schnedeker, Nashville local, won a golf tournament. So
nice.
Good for him. Yeah,
nice.
So you got.
I saw. Are we supposed to be proud Americans today
for
the UFC?
Oh yes. Can we please talk about this for a second?
Yeah, I figured you would want to talk about this.
So I didn't get to catch this live, but the fact that we have another upset for a guy in Sean Strickland going up against Khamzat Chimaev was incredible. You know, Chimaev was coming into the weigh-ins, and everybody's like, I don't know if he's going to make weight. Still to this day, I still think he did not make weight. But if you look at his 46-pound weight cut that he had on Friday, it looked bad. And you look at Sean Strickland, who came into the fight looking pretty healthy, looking lean, ready to go. First round was a little bit of like a touchy-feely process. But out of the 5 rounds, I think round 2 was the go-to round where you could say Sean Strickland kind of changed the momentum of all that. Again, this is probably his second upset in the UFC for a title fight. You look at it now, and I mean, just overall, there was some nasty language said between the two.
I've seen the interviews.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I mean, Sean Strickland is the most unfiltered, fighter right now.
Worse than McDavid?
Yeah. McGregor was a really good
McGregor.
I know what you meant. Yeah. No, McGregor was a really good promo type fighter when it came to the weigh-ins. But when you go back and look, I'd say the most unfiltered minus Sean Strickland would be Nate and Nick Diaz, the 2 brawlers in the UFC. They're now retired unless, a nice paycheck comes in their hands whatsoever. But Sean Strickland, I think right now you could say is the best pound per pound fighter in his weight division.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell Dana White. I'll get mad about John Jones.
Oh, yeah, that is true. I mean, John Jones is the best pound for pound fighter in the heavyweight
of all time.
Yeah.
Of all time.
But I thought it was pretty telling though at the end of that UFC fight. Again, I rewatched it like the following day because I got back from the NSC game real late.
Yeah,
they started at like 8 p.m. We'll get into that later on. But just overall, looking at that fight, hearing Dana White say in the post-match press conference or post-fight press conference saying it, Khamzat said he came up to him ready to fight 205, just can't do the weight cut anymore. And I was like, good for him. If you go up another weight class, it's easier for you to kind of train that entire 6-month camp or 7-month camp, whatever it may be, and go after somebody. So
what weight class is this?
I believe this was light heavyweight. I have to go back and look real quick.
So in between that, what is it, 200 to 220?
185.
185.
I'm sorry, middleweight.
Middleweight, okay.
Yeah. So it was a co-main event, and so he ended up winning by split decision, which was pretty good.
I mean, I haven't even gotten the chance to watch Backlash, which was on Saturday.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything. Which tells me all I need to know about how good it was. So maybe I got 3 hours in between the end of this show and something else I got to do here. So maybe that's what I'll do while I'm waiting.
Love it.
Taking, I guess, your advice on our text line, 615-737-1025. Robert says, whatever you decide to do, don't start drugs. Yeah, I don't plan on that. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate that. Keegan says, watched Khamzat fight twice in 3 days in Abu Dhabi when he was breaking into UFC. Thought he's been damn near untouchable ever since. Sean came in yoked and put the work on that boy. Stand up, ground game. Damn, it was dominant in my eyes.
Yeah, Khamzat's one of those guys that likes to play on the ground along with, against the fence. And Sean Strickland, I think it was like the 3rd round maybe or 4th round. Might have been 5th round. One of the last 3 rounds. I think it was Khamzat that looked at him and goes, all right, let's go one-on-one. And, of course, Sean Strickland's like, I would be an idiot if I did that.
Yeah.
And so he knew,
I'd die.
Yeah, if he knew he just could control the, Hazmat when it came to on the ground and just keep him pinned against the fence. He won that match 9 times out of 10.
How long do you think you would last in the octagon?
Ooh,
I think I could go a full minute.
I was thinking a minute, maybe 2 minutes.
I could survive.
Because I know for sure the first minute is just touchy-feely process, and then the next 30 seconds is, dear Lord, let me hold on for another 30 more seconds.
If you gave me 2 minutes to survive in the octagon with a UFC fighter for $1 million, I think I could do it.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
I think I could do it. I would run.
Give me 6 months to train, and maybe I get through one round.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Maybe.
If $1 million is on the line, I think I would be able to do it. 615-737-1025 is the phone number today. Of course, Reaction Monday, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. We got a fun show for you today. Going to talk a lot of Titans today. Nashville SC over the weekend. Plus, I want to talk some college baseball and overall the state of the sport of baseball, because you and I, of course, we're baseball bennies over here. So we're going to talk about it. But coming up next, some interesting comments over the weekend from Titans offensive coordinator Brian Daboll on Will Levis. And I think you and I are both drawing the ultimate conclusion of what's going to happen to Will Levis this offseason. We'll discuss that coming up next. A fun show for you today on this Monday. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. And the Macho Man, Randy Savage, makes his way to the ring. That was the one thing. Okay, so this is a little inside baseball here, but first off, welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor, Nute and Nick Frazier here with you on this Monday. Also, quickly, let me tell you that the 615 Open Golf Tournament might be sold out, but you can still bet on all kinds of awesome experiences to directly support Folds of Honor at 615open.com/auction. Have an unforgettable time while supporting a great cause. 615open.com/auction. All right, so here's a little inside baseball for you. When we were processing out to the stage, obviously it's held in Murphy Center, which is where MTSU plays basketball. We went through the entire locker room shindig. Like, you know this. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like the men's basketball locker room. I was silently nerding out, and, you know, they have the giant MT hanging on the wall. I thought this was the NFL draft. Like, I started beating on the thing. All these people are just looking at me like, what the hell is this guy doing? I'm like, you guys just don't understand. This is passion. You had the like, not the win bar, but like, it's like,
oh, yeah. Their little like metal bar that
exactly. I smacked the hell out of that thing. So passion. It was very much passion. Before we get into the Titans, I want to read some of you guys' texts on advice from me that Frazier asked so kindly for you to deliver. And some of you guys are delivering with this perfectly. Brian says, don't get caught having an affair with a reporter. I think I would be the reporter in said case, but I understand. I don't think I'll be caught having it.
Wise words.
Very, very nice words. We're also being told we would not survive 30 seconds with a UFC fighter. I think if you gave us 6 months to lose the weight and get into shape, we could do it.
People forget, like, not only just the wrestling side of things with my background, but I have cousins that were state champions in wrestling. So I know a thing or two about the ground game.
Delusion moves us in life. And maybe this is a delusion, but I'm delusional enough to think I could do it. I'd say that and I'd come out with a deformed face, but I do it. Matt says, recommended post-graduation. Whatever you decide, make sure you, 1, pick a city and region you love. 2, always operate in the black no matter what. And 3, take advantage of your youth and freedom because life moves fast. As far as region, to quote Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. I love Tennessee. What a great, great city. You guys are delusional. You wouldn't last 20 seconds. All they have to do is grab a neck, says Robert. Jeremy in Clarksville, have a routine, make a bedtime and wake up time and stick to it. It is harder to adjust to a schedule when needed if you're not used to having one. I have been doing that. I've set my alarm every day for 7, and I end up hitting snooze once or twice. So I wake up at 7:30, and then I'm usually out by 11. So I have a bit of a routine. All right. Well, we'll get to those throughout the show, of course. But, Frazier, let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. Some interesting comments yesterday in an article that came out from team reporter Jim Wyatt on what Brian Daboll thinks of the offense and specifically what he thinks on the quarterbacks. Basically, words of affirmation towards Cam Ward. You know, he's a young quarterback. He's going to fit this system nicely. Then he got to Will Levis. And Brian Daboll, via Jim Wyatt, says, quote, Will has been very good for us. He has picked up the system well. He is a big, strong, athletic guy who has played some in the league. He gets kind of a fresh start here with us. And that last line, I think, tells you all you need to know. He gets a fresh start. To me, that says Will Levis is going to be on this team this year.
100%. I mean, the whole Hendon Hooker storyline, that he's just trying out.
He's
folks.
A camp arm.
He's a camp arm. Exactly. Let that thing go to rest. But as for Will Levis, dude, I really do think this could be I would say a catapulting point for him because look, Mitchell Trubisky on a short-term deal, obviously Will Levis entering his last year of his rookie deal, so forth. You wonder what all that plays out with. If he does get some opportunities in preseason and flourishes and shines, to me, that's only showing more, chips to be put onto the table when it comes to trading him. So if there is somebody out there that wants another arm like Will Levis, again, the guy has all the intangibles when it comes to arm talent. It's the mental game for him. I think he just has to erase what he's done the last couple seasons with this team and just, like Brian Daboll quoted there, a fresh start with the team.
I think they view this as a win-win situation. Either he blossoms in training camp and someone calls and says, hey, we want to make a trade, or he gets to play the backup role and learn under Brian Daboll. And I think that's something they feel confident about because eventually they're going to move off of him. His time as a starter in Tennessee is over, barring any major injuries. He's going to be QB3 on this team if he makes it, because I think they would probably put veteran Mitch Trubisky in the backup role. But I think in a way they view this as a win-win situation, because if you think about it, what negatives are there here? He doesn't cost much. He's not going to play much for you. And if he does, it's not going to be in a substantial role. And honestly, he's not a locker room cancer. He's the kind of guy who's willing to fall in line and play nice. I've watched him essentially his entire college and pro career. He's a quiet guy, and he's not a distraction in the locker room. Yes, he likes to have fun. He likes to go off to Churchill Downs or have some fun in California. But when it's go time for him. So as far as negatives of keeping Will Levis on the roster, I'm having a hard time trying to find some. Obviously, there are going to be some fans, mostly those that wear orange, that are going to be upset that he's on the team because of past. And I'm not trying to play revisionist history here. He was bad as the starter. He had his moments, but ultimately he had a bad tenure. But as far as a backup role, especially in the QB3 spot, are there any negatives to keeping him on the roster this year? I can't think of many.
I actually see positives with a guy like Will Levis on the roster.
Too.
Again, after the whole draft scenarios that have all transpired, I think the whole Ty Simpson, drafting him in the first round for the Rams kind of screwed stuff over for a little bit for the Titans. But when you look at this as a whole, personally to me, if the Titans were to see development in Will Levis and keep him on the roster this season throughout the year, maybe he stays. Maybe he stays another one. Maybe send him to a 2-year deal, and it's like an option for 1 year, and you can opt out of the second year. Because if he starts developing and catching on to the Brian Daboll offense, and let's say Daboll stays another season with the Titans, to me it shows youth and development. Again, this is what the Titans are trying to wave in, is that new wave of talent, the new waves of the draft, because that's how you build, through the draft. So if you're able to retain 1 or 2 players from the previous regime and then take them into this roster and say, hey, we're going to keep you here and you're going to develop with us, to me, that's a huge win-win. So if there is an opportunity out there for Will Levis to stick with this team, I see it as a huge benefit.
I see it as a benefit too. Look, I'm not saying it's going to change the trajectory of the franchise, because he's simply not that player for this team. Maybe he is for another team, but not for this team. Cam Morton is that guy. But Will Levis, to me, I think the benefit of having him learn under Brian Daboll, and again, not to repeat what you just said, but the benefit of learning under Brian Daboll is a proven quarterback developer. We've seen it with Josh Allen. And if you want to call that an isolated example, look at his tenure with the Giants, especially with Daniel Jones. That 1 year where they made the playoffs, Daniel Jones looked like a competent quarterback, and he looks like a competent quarterback in Indiana, but his system just fits a certain style of quarterback. And obviously there's something about Will Levis that Brian Daboll likes. Again, he's not going to throw him out there to be the starter on day one. It's Cam Morton. But the benefit of keeping him around is you get to develop him and grow him for the next team. And therefore, if someone wants to trade up, that value is just going to go up and up and up. Obviously, this is all best case scenario. Will Levis could very well go into this camp and absolutely suck, to quote The Rock. But I think on paper, the benefit of keeping Will Levis around is pretty substantial.
Yeah, there's 2 other things to this. Like, say if Daboll were to leave, not next season, but like maybe after the 3rd year being with Tennessee, let's say the Titans were to sign Will Levis to like a 2-year deal. And it's one of those where you like the same as Mitchell Trubisky, 2-year deal. A lot of it's front loaded where you have more guaranteed money up front. You can opt out of that second year. If there's a situation like that for the Titans with Will Levis and that were to take place, then you could say, well, if Daboll leaves, that would leave an opportunity, a back door open to where you could have a possible trade that's a 6th or 7th round pick. Again, that's a little way far down the line. But the other factor to this, going back to the current roster, is Mitchell Trubisky's 31 years of age.
Yeah.
You look at Will Levis, who is 26 years of age. Again, there is a little bit of an age gap. It's that youth movement, but also too, he kind of not resembles Cam Ward. But again, when you're a younger quarterback, your legs are a little bit more healthier. You can run a little bit more. I'm not saying Mitchell Trubisky is the best versatile quarterback outside the pocket.
Yeah.
But if you're forced to put Will Levis in a backup role and you were forced to have him roll out of the pocket and make a decision, I would be comfortable with that going forward.
Well, there's a little bit of an unknown that comes with Will Levis, too. We haven't seen him play in a year and a half.
That's true.
We know exactly what Mitch Trubisky is. He's a backup quarterback in this league. As far as Will Levis is, he has the possibility of being a starter somewhere else. Not here, but somewhere else. And again, we haven't seen him play in a year and a half. He's had that shoulder injury. And apparently, based from what's coming out of his camp, he's developed nicely. Quickly, let's get to some of your calls. 615-737-1025. This is just going to make me smile. Trey is on the line waiting to talk to us. Trey, what's going on?
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
We are doing fantastic.
Hey, I wanted to say this, and I'm going to be very, very clear in my messaging to y'all today. Will Levis will have an opportunity to perhaps play in some games this year. Okay, Will Levis has not fully developed into a quarterback, which is intriguing to Coach Sala and Coach Daybell and Coach Bergonzi, which Will Levis is a neighborhood kid from Boston that lived 15 minutes from Bergonzi neighborhood. So he knows Will Levis. He hasn't seen Will Levis. Will Levis has an opportunity to where if Cam Ward messes up, it will not be Mitch Trubisky in their quarterback. And that's just, it won't be him. It will be Will Levis in there. And then the narrative is going to start, well, should we play Will Levis over Cam Ward? You know how that's going to go. But Will Levis has the opportunity to play a few football games this year. And, hey, I love y'all, and y'all have a good day, and y'all take care, okay? But Will Levis got 2 years on the team. He's cheap. He's durable. He's reliable. And, I was giving him some flack, but, he can win a couple of games for us if we need him. But I love y'all. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Trey. Credit to Trey there. That was a lot of research, and I'm proud of him for doing that. I mean, I thought Will Levis was from Pittsburgh, but he grew up quite literally 15 minutes from Mike Borgonzi, so credit to him. I wouldn't use the term reliable when it comes to Will Levis. I wouldn't use it for Cam Ward, honestly. We'll see what Cam Ward is, but, if you are given the opportunity on day one, hey, which one do you want to start, Cam Ward or Will Levis? I think 99.99999% of the time you're going to go with Cam Ward.
100%. I mean, look, I would say it's more optimism around Will Levis and the situation he's in rather than the confidence aspect of it.
I mean, look, neither one of us is saying, oh my God, Will Levis has made so much tremendous progress. He needs to be the starter here. No, in fact, I would argue he needs to be quarterback 3 on this team. But I think based on what you're hearing from the coaches and the optimism around the locker room, he's going to be on this roster in the fall, at least in my opinion. Things could change. And if he's not, then that growing optimism is going throughout the league, and someone is willing to pay a price to get him on their team and take a chance on him. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Coming up next, however, I completely forgot to advertise this because Nick Frazier told me in the break, but
it's all right.
Nashville SC insider Valair Shabila will join us coming up next to talk about the past weekend, I guess you could say, for Nashville SC and their loss in the CONCACAF championship or semifinals against Tigres. We'll do that coming up next right here. Next man up, Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, and Parker Kelly with you on 102.5 The Game. Boxing fans, 102.5 The Game and Team Boxing League have your chance to win tickets to see Nashville Smash take on the Boston Butchers at Municipal Auditorium on Saturday, May 23rd. 16 rounds and 16 fighters each go at it for one round of nonstop action. Text the keyword FIGHT, that's FIGHT, to the game text line at 615-737-1025 to enter for your chance to win. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on this Monday. And we welcome in Nashville SC insider Valair Shabilla to the program. Valair, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
We're doing well. Nashville SC, kind of a rough week for them this week. They lose to Tigres in the CONCACAF semifinals, and then a huge draw for them on Saturday against DC United, a game they had to claw back down 2-0 to get that draw. What would you say momentum is for the team right now? Is it shifting in one direction positively or kind of just hanging around that negative zone?
Yeah, first, congrats on graduating, man. Big accomplishment.
Thank you so much.
And the biggest piece of advice I can give you is to stay as far away as possible from Nick Frazier. No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah,
in
valid.
In terms of Nashville SC, I think one of the main things you got to look at is just how many games they've played and just the amount of minutes under these players' feet. When you look at Nashville SC compared to other MLS teams, most MLS teams have not played these 8 games that Nashville SC ended up playing in the Champions Cup. And that's, I think, the biggest thing. And then you look at the injuries as well. You have your 2 starting center mids both out, and you have your top goal scorer and the league's top goal scorer out as well for 3 games. Obviously, there's a quality drop there, and I think that was shown against Tigres in the midweek and obviously against DC in the weekend. And for so long, Nashville has been able to plug in these holes with really good depth. But eventually, if you are fighting for these top honors, the depth in itself is not going to be able to do it. You need your quality players, and unfortunately for them, those quality players were out.
SC still sitting atop the Eastern Conference right now, Valair. They are 24 points, 2 points ahead of the New England Revolution, but 2 games for them this week. What needs to happen this week for Nashville to stay atop the Eastern Conference standings?
They can't lose to New England. They go there on Wednesday, and they cannot lose to New England. Maybe a win is a bit of a win in Foxborough on a midweek is not the easiest thing for an MLS team to do. But I think a draw would even get them to a closer, maybe not the best result again, but it would not make them lose that top spot. But then the big one coming up is LAFC on Sunday, because that one, yes, you have the Eastern Conference, LAFC is in the Western Conference, but LAFC is going to be one of those teams that is a benchmark for every MLS team to play against. And it's going to be an exciting match because everybody's going to be watching it. It's Sunday night soccer. It's kind of a spotlight thing. But then even the fans going to Georges Park, you think about making a statement about a local team that's trying to prove something. And you guys cover the Preds and you cover the Titans, and they're not necessarily going through their best periods right now. So it's a big opportunity for Nashville to prove themselves not only to sort of the MLS and the larger soccer media, but also to the fans here in Nashville that they are capable of beating teams that have superstars that are top of the league and move on, staying top of the Eastern Conference.
Valair Shabilla with 615 Soccer joins us now on Next Man Up with Connor Newton. When looking at this team, Valair, obviously a few injuries, Sam, Eddie, Patrick, but the depth, the rotation, when you have a lot of congested games, BJ Callahan's been known for making a heavy rotation of players. You don't really have that capability right now. One of the guys that made their debuts Saturday night was Charles Emile Burnett, and I feel like that is a integral part of that midfield now because you're forced to play younger players. And again, that's something Nashville is trying to do in their second phase of this chapter they call NSC 2.0, is just bringing in those younger players to really make an impact. How do you see that playing out with a guy like Burnett in the midfield?
Yeah, I think BJ Callahan and Nick, you know this. You've been to pretty much all the press conferences with us there for BJ Callahan, but he has a huge emphasis on next man up. And I've heard a lot of coaches over the years say that and never actually live up to it. And I think for BJ, for Callahan, he's been the one living up to that and giving opportunities to these young guys, and it's truly based on merit. So Burnett, he fits what Nashville are trying to do. I think they recruited him really well, it's just weird to see a draft pick. I know in other sports a draft pick plays in that first season, and that's fine. But in MLS, that's not a common thing. You don't see draft picks going in and sort of having these serious minutes. But even if you remember last season, that guys like Wyatt Meyer got minutes, and Matt Cochran, who's still a very young player, he's been playing a lot this season. So there's an opportunity for him. And for Charles Emile specifically, it's a big opportunity for him because the only player ahead of him currently is Brian Acosta, who is a veteran, yes, but had a fairly bad game, I would say, on Saturday. And I think that really opens up the door for him. Plus, there are 2 games this week, like you mentioned. So there's the New England Revolution and LAFC. If he can get himself on the pitch and play as well as he did against DC in his cameo, I think he'll be looking into becoming sort of part of that rotation in midfield. Plus, Eddie Taxeth and Patrick Yazbek, who will be the starters, presumably going forward, are both out for a little bit. And we know when players come back from injury, they're not at 100% right away. So there are plenty of minutes in midfield. And I think for Charles Emile, he'll be looking to make the most out of that.
Yeah, you mentioned Brian Acosta, and I'm on the same boat with you. I don't think he really fits that DNA, what BJ's trying to do. I mean, obviously, you're the veteran player in that situation. You're forced into playing in the midfield. But do you see Nashville possibly changing formations from their, 2 midfielders that normally sit into maybe more of a, I'd say, a defensive style midfield where you have Acosta playing as that holding defensive midfielder and you have Corcoran and Burnett as the box-to-boxes playing a little bit higher up?
They tried to do something like that on Saturday against DC, and Adam, I'm not really sure if it worked. I think a 4-3-3 just seems like it shakes too many things for Nashville SC, and I think the more likely scenario is maybe we see Alex Muyl tuck in and be a midfielder, like a proper midfielder going forward, because he's a guy that has the ability to play there in midfield. So I think that's more of a possibility than changing the entire system. Like I said, we have seen the 4-3-3 in the past. I think the biggest issue with that one is just where do you put Hani Mukhtar? He's a superstar of the team. He's the guy, essentially the face of the franchise. And in the 4-3-3, he really does not have a good spot because he's not a striker, out-and-out striker. And then if you play him in midfield, you're kind of losing out on a lot of creativity. So that's really my biggest issue with the 4-3-3. But I see more of a Alex Muyl or, like you said, Burnett coming in and maybe taking that spot for Acosta.
Valer Shavilla is with us. Valer, you mentioned all the injuries that this team is battling, and with a congested schedule right now as they're trying to get as many games in as they can before the international break in the World Cup, how does this team survive? Do they just kind of hobble in game to game, or is there truly a time where they need to just sit down and try and get healthy?
Well, the beauty of the MLS regular season is that you don't have to win every game to make the playoffs, and I think I don't think that's the message BJ Callahan will be saying to the players, but that's the message that I'm saying to the fans sometimes when they're asking me about this, because if Nashville SC 3 of the 4 remaining games before the World Cup, 2 of the 3 games remaining before the World Cup are at home, so that's a little bit of a positive thing. And then when you look at the players available to them, they can get some results. And I mean, if they ended up with a win or 2 wins out of the 3, I think you're just going to have to take that. Maybe the expectations are lowered a little bit, but I think for them, they're going to be aiming to still be first in the East. If this 3-game period ends and they are second or third in the East, it's really not the end of the world, especially when you consider the break that's coming. And hopefully on the other end of the break, it's healthier players. And like I said, they're playing NYCFC in the last game before the World Cup. NYCFC have played 8 games fewer than Nashville SC. Yeah. So they're in a completely different phase of the season when you look at it. But maybe on the other end, after the break, the World Cup break, you'll see a sort of more evenly matchup with those teams.
Valer Shavilla of 615 Soccer has been our guest here on Next Man Up. Valer, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, Valer. Valer Shavilla of 615 Soccer. A nice little change of pace. Soccer talk. I like it.
Yeah, a little bit of extra in there.
And you makes it sound like you know way more than I do, which is very much true.
Not me. No. I'm just simple questions. That's all they were.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. Coming up next, we'll get back into the Will Levis conversation and get to your thoughts. Should the Titans retain Will Levis? And what does Brian Daboll's statement about him say about his status on the roster? We'll do that coming up next to finish out hour number 1 of Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. This is a great song. I'm not a huge Coldplay guy, but this is a great song.
Still can't deny its greatness.
Yeah. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. We're talking Titans, our Titan offseason coverage, presented by Tennessee Brewworks, the official craft beer of the football offseason coverage on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Let me also tell you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you'd like to see my smiling face, Nick Frazier's moderately smiling face. He smiles more than I do. Hello. Just go subscribe. We would love to have you invited. Also, well, I'll do that one later. Let's get back into the Will Levis conversation. Appreciate Valer Shabilla for joining us in that last segment to talk a little Nashville SC. Matthew in Nashville says, all this soccer talk, y'all better be doing some soccer stuff for the World Cup starting next month. I hope so. At the very least, Nick Frazier and I will definitely be talking about it because I'm not a huge soccer guy. I'm very excited for the World Cup because I love international soccer. This will be a fun one.
Yeah, I believe Korea is practicing here at Korean Republic.
Yeah,
practicing here at Geodis Park. That's practice.
Yeah. I was just talking with my uncle about that yesterday because there's someone practicing out in Seattle, which is about 30 minutes from where he lives. I think it's Iran.
Okay, that makes sense.
One of the two.
One of those Middle Eastern countries. That makes sense because of the West Coast. And the flyover. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a flight for them, but
Spain is practicing at Baylor. That's their
in Houston.
No, Baylor is in Chattanooga.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
That's cool.
Yamin Yamal, one of the youngest and best players in all of Europe.
Yeah,
right now, at like 18, 19 years old, practicing in Chattanooga.
Is he Barcelona? Is that where he plays? Yeah. Who just won yesterday? They won this. Let's see if I can get this league right. La Liga.
Bingo. Connor Nute, soccer savant.
Soccer savant.
Love
All
it.
my years of playing FIFA have finally paid off.
Yes,
but let's get back into the real football, American football. And a lot of you want to weigh in on the conversation on Will Levis. And will he make this roster? Would it be positive for the Titans to retain him on this roster? Robert on the text line says, oh, wait, I thought y'all said there's no way Will Levis was going to be on this team year. Yes, I did say that. I said that a month ago. And if you would have asked me a month ago, I probably would have stuck with it. But after I've hearing all these things come out of the locker room, hearing this Brian Daboll statement that came out yesterday, hearing the bodes of confidence from Mike Borgonzi and Robert Saleh, I've trended in the other direction. I think it's important to prioritize fact over opinion. And the fact of the matter is they're giving him bodes of confidence. And they, on paper, feel that he could be a good piece to this room, this locker room. So yes, Robert, I did say that. And I believe you.
I did. Yeah, 100%. I said that I didn't think he would be on this. Didn't think he'd be on this roster by this fall because my expectation was that Will Levis would be traded come draft time and/or right after the draft.
I mean, we all thought that.
And again, let's not forget the offensive coordinator they brought in was a former head coach in New York, Brian Daboll, who is an offensive genius in some aspects. But remember, everything he says is like a bunch of weight. Like we're talking like dumbbells. Every word's worth like 5 pounds. So after a sentence, he's probably got 100 pounds of words of weight. That's how I look at it. I mean, I take that guy's words with a lot of value. So if he's talking highly about Will Levis, I take that with a lot of value.
Keegan says the Levis situation is just textbook sunken cost fallacy. They spent a pick on him. No one wants to give anything for him. There's no point in cutting him outright. You just let him ride with the team. When he finishes the contract at the end of the upcoming season, you move on and take your loss. It's no big deal. It won't hurt our future. Might be able to get a trade down the road, but it's not a big deal to let him ride the bench and then move on. I 100% agree. Because what is hurting you in letting him ride it out? He's not going to start. He's not even going to be the backup. It's going to be Mitch Trubisky. So what's hurting you in keeping him around? Let's go to our phone lines. Dustin in Hopkinsville is on the line waiting patiently. Dustin, go ahead.
Part right. Because I stand by my word. I've been on this train since the train was on the tracks. Okay? Let's just get that out of the way. I've told y'all when we got Dable, he has eyes for quarterbacks. I also, about 80 to 85% of the time, am right about sports. I've even thought about joining you guys and starting to do some sports analyst myself. I'd probably be more of a Pat McAfee type. You know what I'm saying? However, look, let's get serious for a minute. Will Levis has all the tangibles. Rabel pulled that out of him. He played his best game, number one game, 4 touchdowns. I'm not saying he will score 4 touchdowns again in a game. I'm not saying he won't. I'm saying you ain't seen Will Levis's best overall complete game yet. And Dable, Brian Callahan did his best to ruin Levis. And technically, for a short stint, he did. He did his best to do it to Cam Ward. But Cam Ward had something Levis didn't have, and Bones and the other assistant coach or whatever that took over afterward, they actually knew some football. Brian Callahan knew no football. We know this now. He is a spiller spot. He was somebody's friend, and they got him a job. His daddy, he carried his daddy's name, and now he has washed his dad's name, okay? So if anybody says either of those quarterbacks got a fair chance under Brian Callahan, you're crazy. You need go check into the local, get your head checked.
Psych ward.
Okay. Yes, I wanted to say it without where you didn't have to hang up on me or something, because you never know what you're allowed to say and not. But Will Levis, I'm telling you, ain't seen his best game. Yes, this is good for the team because Cam Ward is a competitor. One thing I want at work, I don't want to be the best one. I want someone above me to push me. If he does not have that, and Mitchell Trubisky is a backup quarterback. I'm telling you right now, Mitchell Trubisky is what Will Levis's floor is. Will Levis's ceiling, I think, is Sam Darnold. And the only thing I don't like about Dable being his coach, I think he's going to develop him into something or start it, and then they're going to get something good for him. And I think it's going to be between game 3 and 5 if they trade him. I'm telling you, Dable is intrigued at the very least at Will Levis. And I knew it. I said it. Some reporters have been saying it, and I'm sticking to those words. It's good that we develop him. I don't care if he outperforms Cam Ward. I don't care either way, whichever one it is. Let it play out. Let these two quarterbacks competitiveness in the locker room and on the field is good. I don't care if it starts scrimmages here and there. This team needs fired up about something. If we have 2 good quarterbacks, we're in a great position. If you think that's crazy, you're crazy. See y'all.
Thanks for the call, Dustin. Yeah, I have some good points there. The thing I came away with is the Vince McMahon line he used there. Let it play out. Anyways, good conversation on Will Levis, and maybe we'll get back into that later on in the show. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Coming up next, an interesting announcement from the SEC on what they plan to do in their baseball tournament coming up next, and I think it's a positive thing for the sport of college baseball. We'll get to that coming up next. Connor, Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you all. Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. Second hour of Next Man Up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier filling in for Jake Lyman. Parker Kelly behind the ones and twos. We are broadcasting today, of course, from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game National Studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Fun first hour. Talked a lot of Will Levis, talked a lot of Titans, and maybe we'll get back into that later throughout the show. Of course, Valer Shabilla from 615 Soccer joined us to talk a little Nashville SC. So thank you to him again for joining us. But I want to transition here a little bit. The SEC just announced this past weekend, I believe, that they plan to use the ABS, the automatic balls and strikes system, similar to what you see in the MLB and that challenge system. Sorry, I got something in my throat that's decided to come out while I started talking.
All good. You're good.
Don't laugh at that.
You're good.
But anyways, they've decided to use the ABS system in the upcoming SEC tournament. I think this is a positive development for the sport of college baseball because I think it sparks the modernization of the sport that I think has repopularized. Let's see if I can try that again. Repopularized it. Is that right? Is that a word?
Repopulated, something like that.
Yeah. Well,
it's becoming more popular again.
Yes.
There you go.
It's become mainstream again. Baseball for years and years and years, for those who, of course, know, was a sport that could not get out of its own way. They wouldn't go to replay. They wouldn't go with coaches' challenges. There was no pitch clock. There was no automatic balls and strikes system. They've obviously integrated all these things in the majors and the minors, and it's worked. And honestly, I think it's made baseball better. So the fact that you're getting players in college used to this early and integrating that into the sport completely just changes the modernization of baseball. And I think that's a positive trend.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the success rate right now in Major League Baseball across all teams, it's roughly a little bit over 50%, like around 53, 54%. And then you go into it as more of a, I guess, catcher by catcher basis. One of the catchers that's really been good at the ABS system of just challenging plays, that's Salvador Perez with the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
Easily has over a 60, 70% success rate. So if you go and look at it from that angle, I think it's a benefit for these younger players because now MLB scouts that are scouting for catchers have another baseline to just put down on their chart.
Yeah.
And again, when you have something like that on your chart, you're able to dictate, well, we can now elevate this guy not only if we gets drafted, put him not in single A, but put him in double A. Maybe you can skip a ranking in the minor league baseball scoutings of it all. Another factor that I think is a little bit of a con in this situation is you look at it from how do you remember the article at the beginning of the MLB season when they had a bunch of I guess they had everybody that was playing in the major leagues take their shoes off and they had to just see what their height and weight was exactly.
Yeah.
To me, when I read that was so they could get the automatic balls and strikes strike zone precise. So when you have these, strikes and balls that are challenged and they're 0.01 off the plate or off the zone, that's because they base it off of what they did before the season. And that's getting the height and weight down so they can dictate how tall and how, I guess, wide the strike zone should be.
Yeah.
You look at it from the, I guess, college level. I don't know if they have that data yet. And if they don't have that data going into the SEC tournament, that might be a little bit of a flaw in the system. And again, that might be too premature to implement it. But I do see the pros of having it in the tournament ball because regular season, it's tough to get the ABS system involved without a conference and also in conference. You'd have to have your in-house, I guess, umpiring from the video room. So that's how I feel about it.
I wonder if you're not going to adjust your strike zone as much based on height in college, simply because there's so many athletes and so many teams. It's going to be hard to do. But I think the fact that they have the premise of just the complete modernization of baseball in college baseball is a positive trend. My only complaint right now with the ABS is it doesn't factor in checked swings. And I think that's next. I think they're going to start challenging, okay, did he break that plane? Did he go over the ball? That's next. That's coming. But, college baseball is kind of following the trends of the MLB. Like, they've got the resized bases now. They've got the on first base, they've got the extra base, secondary base that you just run through. They've got the pitch clock, although it feels like college baseball takes 4 years as opposed to the MLB where you can watch a game in 2.5 hours, which is awesome. But I love that baseball as a fan of the sport, is becoming self-aware and adapting with the times. And I think baseball has just become a more popular sport because of that. Like, some of that is the players in the majors. Like, a lot of these kids look up to Shohei Ohtani, who is the best of this generation and probably the best of the next generation too. I mean, he transcends. But a lot of it is they familiarize themselves with the rules, and it's something that is easier to comprehend. And there are still, baseball is a confusing sport with the stats. There's so many unnecessary stats in that sport. It's hard to keep up with. But I think that the positive trend here is that baseball knows what it's doing, and it's capable of modernizing and adapting to an audience, similar to what football did, similar to what basketball is doing in a way. But no sport, I don't think, has seen this much growth as baseball. So the fact that it's integrated into college, and look, a lot of people will argue, well, it's not the pros. It's a overarching rule of the game. And I think it's getting these recruits and these prospects ready. Look, some of these guys are already within major league systems. So I think it's getting them ready for that next level, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, it isn't. Only technology is only evolving into sports rather than leaving sport. And another factor to the ABS system when you look at the SEC tournament coming up is you're going to see a lot of those righty-righty, lefty-lefty matchups.
Mhm.
The umpires are the ones that are going to be, obviously it's going to help them for sure, but you're going to see a lot of those breaking balls that are kind of breaking over the plate down outside the zone, and or you're going to see a two-seam fastball that kind of slides, or a cutter slides outside the zone. I think that's the biggest ABS challenge you're going to see in that tournament is the off the plate pitches, because the strike zone in college baseball, we both know this, it is very wide.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could probably fit a double wide trailer in this strike zone. That's my biggest issue with college baseball is the umpires behind the plate are very lenient on a lot of these breaking ball pitches that go left to right. That we're going to tone that back a little bit. I think that's one of the main reasons why they're bringing in ABS for this reason.
Yeah. And look, I like ABS because it's not a huge break from tradition. You still got an umpire. You still got an objective human behind the plate making calls. It's just keeping the game moving a little bit. Like, if there's a ball and it touches the zone and it's called a ball, guess what? Double tap that head. You got yourself a strike. There you go. I like the ABS in college baseball. I like it in the SEC, and I know they're probably just going to use it for this tournament this year, but I think it's going to be a success. I think it's going to be integrated into the full regular season next year.
Yeah, and according to Baseball Savant, to give a little bit more context to the strike zone, in Major League Baseball right now, the zone is 17 inches wide in average to what they did for the height and weight of the players before the season. And then the top of the zone is only 53.5%, and the bottom of the zone is 27%, according to the player height and weight. So again, not having that statistic for, or I guess that metric for college baseball right now with the height and weight, that's going to play a little bit of a factor. But again, I want to reiterate, it's more for the left to right, the width of the zone coming up this tournament.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. Our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, a tough weekend for the Vanderbilt Commodores. They drop a series to Missouri, who hangs at the bottom of the SEC. What does this mean for the season? Are their tournament hopes done? We'll get to that coming up next, right here on Next Man Up. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 102.5 The Game. 1025 The Game's Chase and Big Joe show will be broadcasting live this Wednesday at Nash Dogs at 427 Robinson Road. Nash Dogs now serving at their Old Hickory Cafe, plus catering, corporate events, and food truck bookings. Find out more at nashdogs.com. Stop by and you could win tickets to see Nashville Smash take on the Boston Butchers in the Team Boxing League at Municipal Auditorium on May 23rd. That is this Wednesday, May 13th. Do you know what else is this Wednesday?
What is that?
May 13th. What national holiday is this Wednesday, May 13th?
Is it your birthday?
It is National Connor Nute Day on Wednesday, May 13th.
Is it really?
It is indeed.
Oh, man.
It is indeed. I will be 22 years of age.
The 20th anniversary.
It's my Taylor Swift year.
I love it. I love it, man. Heck yeah.
It is so remember that when I come up in celebrity birthdays. Also remember that Sabrina Carpenter is 27 years old today. Don't forget that.
I will remember.
Because I'm 99% sure Joe will bring that one up. Don't forget. But let's talk a little bit of SEC baseball. And most importantly, let's talk Vanderbilt baseball. So Vanderbilt drops a series to – thank you. We'll save that for Wednesday. But yes, it is my Taylor Swift year. So Vanderbilt drops the series to a 6-21 in conference play Missouri. Missouri wins their first home series in over 2 years over Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt now sits 13th in SEC standings. They are 11-16 in conference play, 29-24 overall. I think their tournament hopes are dying. I really do. This is going to be a tough year for them to crack into the tournament. This is a tough year for the SEC in general. They haven't been nearly as good as they have been in years past. I mean, Georgia is setting the world on fire right now. They're 21-6 in conference play, 41-11 overall. A&M and Texas are good. Alabama is good. Auburn is good. Everyone else is kind of just hovering around the middle. Like Tennessee just took 2 of 3 against Texas this past weekend. So in the words of Philip Fulmer, and most importantly in the words of the video Christian Skelton sends me every time the Vols win anything, Vols are back. But anyways, Vanderbilt drops the series to Missouri. If they miss the tournament, is this season a complete failure?
I would say it's a stepping stone for next season in a roundabout way. Again, they have that Brazilian pitcher that pitched in the World Baseball Classic. I think it was like 17, 18 years old. So there's a lot of promise to the Vanderbilt Commodores when it comes to their program as a whole. I know Willie mentioned last week about Tim Corbin and his job. Again, you can't mention Vanderbilt athletics, Vanderbilt baseball without the name Tim Corbin. So again, for those, hold your britches a little bit. But when it comes to this season, I think it's more of a stepping stone. I wouldn't, again, yeah, it's unfortunate if they don't make a regional. Obviously, everybody's known for Vanderbilt hosting a regional or being invited to a regional of some sorts. Again, the last couple times they've been to a regional, it hasn't been great. But I think this is a year where you can kind of just take a step back, recalibrate, and hit the ground running next season.
The offense hasn't been the problem for Vanderbilt this season. The hitting has been fine. It's the pitching. The pitching has not been good. I mean, I understand you lose a lot in that room, but at the same time, this is the toughest conference in college baseball. You're going to need decent pitching. And, it's been inconsistent, I think is the nicest word to use. There have been times where it's been really good, and there have been times where it's been really, really bad. And this past weekend, it was really, really bad. I mean, we'll go back to that first game. Obviously, it was delayed due to fog, which is interesting to me, but that score was 6-7. I'd have to look at the hitting category, but I would imagine if you're scoring 7 runs in a game, chances are you're giving up probably more than 7 hits.
Well, I think the inning before that, Vanderbilt was up by I think it was 6-0 or 6-1. They gave up 5 to 6 runs in the following half inning. So
that's
again,
bad.
They put themselves in a bad position. And on top of that, the original call for that play, obviously Vanderbilt ran all 4 bases. It was like an inside the park home run, but nobody went after the ball. Yeah, nobody went after the ball, which to me, and they even looked at it through TrackMan. And I know TrackMan, you're not supposed to be dictating off the analytics of those numbers, but off TrackMan, it said it went over the fence. So if you're dictating a ball that you can't see, and on the field you called a home run, and now you go to review and say it's a ground rule double, whatever happened to the call on the field stands? Not it's confirmed.
Yeah.
So if they can't confirm
indisputable video evidence.
exactly, and you're looking back at that film, it is not good to look at.
Yeah.
Because you can't see the ball leave the field. You don't know if the ball bounced over the fence. But again, they called it a home run on the field originally. So that's, again, I don't know if that would really get Vanderbilt over the hump to get into a regional, but that's just, here or there.
I would say overall, for Tim Corbin standards, this is semi a failure of a season for them. Because I know the kind of coach Tim Corbin is. That's a guy that wants to win. And look, I understand this is a young team. This is a team that lost a lot from last year, and obviously they were the number 1 overall seed in the tournament last year. We don't have to talk about what happened to them in that tournament, but the results are the results. The same could be said for this year. The results are the results. Right now, you're sitting at 13th in a 16-team conference. That's not good enough. That's not good enough to get you into the tournament, and if you don't make a run in the SEC tournament, you're definitely not making the national tournament. So I would say for Tim Corbin standards and the kind of coach that I know he is and the kind of coach that I think he holds this team to, this is a failure of a season for Vanderbilt and the Vandy Boys.
Yeah, I mean, look, you if you compartmentalize their schedule, look at it from home and away, they took care of business at Hawkins Field, and that's 23 wins at home, 8 losses. You look at the road schedule, not great, 5-11. You can't have a losing record on the road if you're Vanderbilt. And that, again, to your point, is it a failure? I'm not on the boat of a failured season for them. Yes, postseason hopes are definitely looking very bleak, but I think it's just more of you recalibrate in the offseason and you hit the ground running next year.
No, I agree. And, fortunately, you have something called the transfer portal that works to your favor where you can reload pretty easily if you use that. And Tim Corbin's a great recruiter. You mentioned they have some really good high pitching prospects coming in next year. I mean, you're getting a Brazilian kid who just went toe-to-toe with Team USA in the World Baseball Classic and looked really good doing that. How much he plays next year, I'm not sure. He'll be a true freshman, but I imagine he'll get some run on the mound. Fortunately, again, you got the transfer portal, which this is the good part about college athletics, is now you got the transfer portal. And a team can go from below average to world beaters overnight. But as of right now, this team isn't good enough to compete in the SEC tournament. This team isn't good enough to compete on a national tournament level. 13th of a 16-team conference. And yes, I said this is the best conference in baseball, and I stand by that. But you just lost to the 16th ranked team in the conference. A 6-21 conference record. A team that hasn't won a home series in over 2 years. That's not good enough. That's not going to cut it in the postseason. And as we get down the stretch, I think their postseason hopes are bleak. And I honestly, if I'm a Vanderbilt fan, I would be disappointed in the results this year. 615-737-1025. How do you feel about the Vandy Boys season this year? Is it a disappointment? Is it a failure? Or is it, like Nick Frazier says, a stepping stone into next year? We want your thoughts. We'll get to them on the other side. Plus, the other team in Tennessee gets a big series win against one of the top-ranked teams. Tennessee takes out Texas. We'll get to that coming up next, right here on Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor, Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you, filling in for Jake Lyman. Don't worry, he'll be back tomorrow. At least he says he will. We'll see. How much fun was Tijuana? I don't actually know where they went, but
I don't know either.
So
That's great though.
My cousin, he's 3. We were with him all day yesterday. The only destination location he will ever talk about, because he loves airplanes. So the airplane, we live there. My aunt lives right next to the airport, so not far from here. But there were all planes flying across all day, and every time he saw it, he said, "That one's going to Hawaii," because they've been to Hawaii. So, and of course, he says it like a 3-year-old. So
I would too, honestly.
I mean, the amount of automobiles that we saw yesterday, like there was planes, and then there was a train that came by, and then there was a police car, and then there was a dump truck. A kid was in heaven.
Plane, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. John Candy, Steve Martin.
Yeah, it's great.
Can't go wrong with that.
I mean, this is what little boys get into. It's just cars and dinosaurs and Spider-Man. Those are the 3. That's all they need.
I'm very familiar with the Spider-Man. I
am
get that.
too,
I get that dosage every other day.
Oh, trust me. I'm a big Spider-Man nerd as well. But this isn't about Spider-Man. This is about baseball. So let's talk about baseball. So I want to continue the Vanderbilt conversation here for just a second. Is it a failure of a season for them, or is it a stepping stone? You said during the break, you've got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, look, going into the SEC tournament, yes, just like college basketball, you make a deep run in the SEC tournament. If you win the tournament, it gets you that bid. But again, adding the conversation we had about ABS into with Vanderbilt, one of those teams that's always been the trailblazing team in the SEC for I'd say for majority of stuff when it comes to that. This will be a time when Tim Corbin is really looking at video and really dialing in on saying, hey, our pitching rotation has not been the best, but if we include ABS with this, maybe it turns around for us. And again, I think that's the benefit to all of that.
Yeah, I think, look, you mentioned in the break that the SEC tournament in baseball is just like it is in basketball. You win the thing, you're in the national tournament. And baseball is the kind of sport where it's not usually the best team that wins, it's the most hot. So the bats could get hot here. I don't have a problem with the offense for Vanderbilt. It's the pitching that's been the problem. It's the inconsistencies on the mound, and ABS may benefit them. They may be getting some calls on the edge of the zone that they weren't getting in the regular season simply because of the objective point of view of the umpire.
Yeah.
But you can't give up hits to do that. Like, you got to be dancing around the zone and getting strikeouts. Or if you are making contact with the ball, you got to make a play in the infield. If you give up a hit, there's no point in your ABS. You can't use it. So I don't know. I don't trust this pitching staff to remain consistent enough for enough time in the SEC tournament to make a run and win the thing.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the pitching staff's ERA, I mean, the average is definitely not what you want it to be. It's not in your high 2s and low 3s. We're looking at like the 5 ERA range. I mean, 4, maybe 4.2-ish average. But again, the win-loss ratio is just not great either. I think you only have, 3 pitchers out of your rotation that are having a winning record. Again, trying not to look too much on the win-loss records there, but a lot of these guys are probably getting about 13 to 17 appearances in games. So you're definitely just throwing whatever arm is healthy at the time. And again, to your point, the rotation is not deep enough for them to really go make a deep run if that's the case.
On the other end, for the other team in the state of Tennessee, which remarkably has the same name as the state, they take a big series win against the other team in orange in the SEC, Texas, who is ranked and a very, very good team. They take 2 of 3. Is that a good momentum thing moving forward for them as they move towards the postseason?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're looking at an RPI of 31. If you're within that top 50, you're definitely going to get a nice bid into that tournament. So that is a good thing to look at. Again, you wonder if they can kind of not hit a hitting lull, because a lot of these teams have really good pitching, end up when it comes to tournament time and or just conference championship tournament time, the hitting becomes obsolete somehow. And it just happens.
Yeah.
Some teams don't really string together that hot streak of winning, and it just drops for them immediately.
They've got the same problem Vanderbilt has, in my opinion, and that's inconsistent pitching staff. And They have a bit more of an excuse just because of the whole Vitello situation. It's a really, really young team regardless. So they're going to be around for a while, assuming most of them don't hit the portal, which could happen. But I give them a little bit more leeway than I do Vanderbilt because of the situation that they're in. They should still be better than they are. They're 13-14 in the SEC, 34-18 overall. But I feel like they have a chance if they get hot enough at the plate to squeeze into that national tournament. They're going to have to make a run in the SEC tournament for sure. But it's the inconsistencies on the mound. And I think that's the common theme of the day for the teams in the state of Tennessee. Got to have consistent pitching to be competitive in the SEC.
Yeah. And if it's not there, then you're not going to advance. Simple as that. It's like putting puzzle pieces together. If they're not clicking, you ain't making the puzzle piece.
My team's got the same problem, inconsistent pitching for the Kentucky Wildcats. Mississippi State, I think, has the opposite problem.
Yeah.
Great pitching, inconsistent bats.
Yeah, I don't understand Mississippi State right now. I mean, like, yes, they've been, a top-ranked team all season long, but you look at the series, if you go back to their season, they got swept by Tennessee early on in the season. You look at that UCLA series, they played in Texas. They probably should have won that one. And again, if they beat UCLA, that would have really put them up in the rankings for sure.
Yeah.
Because at the time, they both were top 10, I believe, top 10 teams. So it's a frustrating thing to watch the maroon and white kind of struggle a little bit, but I'm hoping when it comes to SEC tournament time, they'll be able to kind of just bring it back on in, relax, and just be calm at the plate.
LSU's been kind of the surprise of the season for me. I mean, they were national champions last year, and then this year they're 9-18 in conference play, 29-24 overall. Seems like this is the common theme for them. Like they have a great national championship winning season. Like you remember they did it with Paul Skeens and that whole bunch. And then the next year they sucked. And then the next year they'll be good. So they'll be good next year. But if trends continue, but they're kind of surprising to me. I thought they would be a lot better than they were right now.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder a lot of those blue blood programs that always struggle before the tournament if they kind of catch a stride. Like same thing with Mississippi State. Like that's how I figure a lot of these things. And again, when you go into conference play for your tournament, that's when you're going to see some conservative pitching, some conservative lineups, in my opinion, because if you already have a top RPI ranking that's going to get you into hosting a regional or something like that, then there's no need to play some of your top guys.
Yeah, baseball's such a weird sport. I think we've discovered today.
A lot of strategy involved,
especially in the college game. It's interesting stuff there. But Georgia is taking the world by storm. They look like national championship contenders, in my opinion. 20. They've only got 6 losses in the SEC. Let's see, 21-6 in the SEC, 31-7. So they've only lost 1 non-conference game total this year. I'd have to look at who they've played, but they're a fun team to watch. They're a team that's got it all. They got the pitching, they got the bats, they've got the base running discipline. They're fun to watch.
And let's be fair, like 41 wins. Any team that has over 40 wins definitely is going to be doing some damage. If it's not even in the SEC tournament, but especially hosting a regional.
Yeah, they're going to be hosted. You're going to have an Athens regional for sure. I mean, of the teams in the SEC that I think will be hosting, you're going to have an Athens regional. You're going to have a College Station regional. You're going to have a Austin regional. Yeah. Maybe Tuscaloosa.
Maybe Auburn.
Maybe Auburn.
More Auburn than Alabama.
Do we have a?
I think that's probably going to be it.
Starkville? No.
It'll be tough. You're more on the outside looking in on that one.
Yeah. So that's what we think. 1, 2, about 3, 4 teams in the SEC probably hosting.
3 or 4. Yeah. I mean, that sounds about right. It just, again, the SEC is always loaded in baseball. It's one of the best conferences, and like you even mentioned, probably one of the best conferences to watch. But again, all eyes are going to be on this tournament because of the ABS system as well. So let's not forget about that.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how that works out. Again, I think this is a big step forward for the sport of baseball across the board. If you're asking if you're going to get it in high school, I would probably doubt that. But
if it does get to that, Connor, I think we are definitely reaching new heights.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say not in a good way.
T-ball, ABS, coming soon. Oh, my gosh.
It's just one of those things, too. Like, if it were to get to that level of high school, you're going to really have to reconfigure the entire, system. Because there's no way you could do that to every high school. I think it'd only be qualified for tournaments. Like we're talking state tournaments. That's the only way I could see it happening.
I don't even think we get there. I mean, do we have replay in high school football? No.
No, but there are nice.
To an extent, but does the large majority of high school football have replay?
No, absolutely not.
Does the large majority of college basketball have replay? No. So I think we got to get that before we get to the ABS challenge system in high school sports.
Don't get me on my soapbox with the whole rule book thing in college. Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, we can do that if you want to, because I got problems with it too. But we'll save that for another day. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. And yes, I see you all yelling at me. So we'll get back into football coming up next. There's something in the NFL going on that I am just so tired of hearing about already. And we'll get to that coming up next, right here on Next Man Up. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here, the 1025 The Game. This was my song like 12 years ago.
JT's
Good
the
old
man.
JT. I would go watch JT in concert.
Oh yeah.
I told you. I don't think I've told you this. I've been to a lot of shows across a lot of genres of music. Bruno Mars the other day was the best show I've ever been to.
Was that pretty good?
It was really good. He could sing. He could. It was. We'll never get to see Michael Jackson live and in concert, but that was pretty damn close.
Oh, well, those are some strong words there, Connor.
It was fantastic. He
Okay.
can sing. He can dance. He's funny. I sound like I'm in love with him. I'm not.
No, it's just you had a really good time at the concert, and like that was outside, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was raining and it was cold, but it kind of added to the aura, as the kids say. Like he sang one of his songs called "It Will Rain" in the rain. And I was like, this is amazing. It was great. It was great stuff. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. And yes, I see you all bitching at me. We will not talk about baseball anymore because apparently football is the only sport that matters. So we'll talk about that right now. So there's something going on in the NFL right now as we're approaching that time that is really getting on my nerves. And I'm tired of it. And I think it's the most overrated thing of all time. And that's the NFL schedule release. You know, we were just watching earlier. It was ESPN2 on Get Up. They flash breaking news at the bottom. I was like, oh no, what's happening? What are we going to have to talk about? And they showed Dak. I'm like, what happened to Dak? And then it's, oh, the Cowboys and the Eagles are going to open up the NFL season on Thursday Night Football. Great. That's great. I mean, in the Titans case, we already know who they're going to play. We just don't know the dates that they are going to play. Like I think I saw last night, one of the leaks was they're going to play the Rams around Christmas time at Nissan Stadium.
The Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Titans versus Rams, February 14th of 2027.
Okay.
Allegedly, it's a 6:30 kickoff.
Okay.
So I think that's like a Sunday night game. Sunday
Okay.
Night Football.
Great.
Yeah.
Only thing I take away from that is great. The Titans get a primetime game.
That's it.
I don't care. I already know who they play. You already know what kind of a schedule they're going to have because they're going to have a last place schedule. It's an overrated thing. The only thing I like that comes out of it is the Titans social team does a pretty good job of doing the funny video.
Sure.
But it's people act like it's, the March Madness selection show, and it's not.
I know Joe Dubin's mentioned this before. It is probably one of the more popular days of the year when the schedule is released, so people can kind of RSVP, their hotels, book their hotels, book their plane flights, and book, all the tickets they got to buy.
Yeah, I mean, there's
that's
money
great.
involved.
That's great and all, but I'm with you. It's just like get to football. Let's just get to football.
We got a long way to go there.
It honestly goes to show you how much the NFL offseason is stale when you really revolve your scheduling around videos and content about making the schedule. Again, the Chargers had a really good, little action figure type release last year. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well, the Titans, they did it 2 years ago where they were going down Broadway and getting random people to name the teams, and it was funny.
Yeah.
And they did it again, and it wasn't as funny. And then last year they did the whole, what was it? It was the allergy medication or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was really funny. But, that's the only thing I care about that really comes from it. And it's not like something I have to have my notifications on for. Oh my God, the Titans just dropped. We got to watch it right now. No, I'll get to it when I get to it. It's fine.
Yeah. Like I would prefer more of like, if you're going to do something cool, cinematic, do something like The Office. And then like, I don't know, have little sticky notes on something on the wall or on a cabinet, on a coffee. I don't know. Like, if you think the Titans get an easy win, put it on a coffee mug. Like, oh, the Titans are playing Jacksonville.
We got so got, by the way.
What is that?
The Titans.
I don't know. I'm just
the Titans and Rams on February 14th. You know it's on February 14th.
It's Valentine's Day, isn't it?
Do you know what else is on February 14th?
I don't know.
It's a Sunday.
Oh no.
It's the Super Bowl.
Well, there you go. Well, I mean, that was the
we got so got.
It was the leak. I don't know. Again, it shows how much I don't care about the schedule release. I mean, if that validates it anymore.
It proves the point that, the NFL is king. It always will be king. Football is king in this country, and we understand that. However, this is like the season is most important. The Super Bowl is the most important sporting event of the year. I will die on that hill. Everyone watches every week of the season for their respective teams, I would say.
Yeah.
Everyone watches the draft, or at least the first night of the draft. And then they try to amplify this as like a marquee event of the NFL schedule. And I don't really understand it. Because I think it's like, hey, the Titans are going to play the Jags on, January 12th. Can't wait to be there. I'm like, great.
Like, I'm with you. Again, get to football, get to what really matters in the production of this team. Get to practice as much as possible. I want to know how XYZ is doing in development. And again, it kind of goes back to rookie minicamp for a quick second, is that a lot of these drafted players were not on the field. They were absorbing the playbook. They were getting in the weight room. They were getting back up to football speed, which I think is perfect.
I think I care about rookie minicamp more than I care about schedule release.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, even if you got, what was it, 58 people that didn't make the team that tried out and their rookies didn't even try, like, at least there's some storyline there. The schedule release, it's just saying, hey, the Titans and the Colts are going to play at Nissan Stadium just like they do every year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it. It's something that drives me crazy, and I don't understand why people get so giddy about it, but whatever. Look, I mean, we're going to come on here the day after it happens and react to the schedule, and everything will be fine. But, it's just people are so desperate for football right now. And that's okay, because I am too. But why do you think we talk baseball? Because it's going on, and it's a sport that's happening. And I understand people love football, but it doesn't happen until August. So we got a long time to talk about football and make predictions. And hell, we'll talk about breakout candidates here in a couple of minutes. But
yeah,
we got a long time to talk about it.
A little tease to that, little breakout candidates. One for me is Femi Oladejo. I'll give mine away right now.
Yeah.
I really will. I mean, you look at the way, again, I keep saying it resets the clock on him, but it truly does. I think you look at the depth of what they've brought in at that position through the draft, along with free agency. There is somebody he can finally learn behind on the field as like a player's coach in a roundabout way. And then you also have Robert Saleh's brain with the defensive mind. So I think that's something you can look and rally around. And plus, when you have a full offseason to really either get bigger and stronger, that is a whole different playing field when you're a player that has 1 year under their belt coming football time.
He is one that I've told you I'm very interested in the role that he plays this season.
Yeah.
There's two defensive guys that I'm very curious about their role, him and Cody Barton. Femi Oladejo, I think, has a high ceiling, and I think he's learning, and he's got a full season under his belt, at least to practicing. He only played, 7 games last year because of injury. But I think in a room like that, where you have guys at that position that you feel good about, I mean, you've got Jermaine Johnson, and you just drafted Keldrick Falk, and who's the Jalen Harrell, who you like. In a room like that, he's going to be a rotational piece. I just need to see it before I'm ready to say, yeah, he's going to be a cornerstone. Look, I'm not saying he needs to go out there and have, 12 sacks this year. He's got to make at least some impact plays. Otherwise, you're going to get overtaken by someone you just spent a first-round pick on, in Keldrick Falk. So we'll see about him. He is definitely, I think he's sink or swim. Like, he's either going to be, wow, he had a really great year, or I think we're approaching bust territory. He's the definition of that to me.
See, that's the thing for me with Femi Oladejo. If he has a down year in year 2, I get they spent a second-round pick on him, the Titans, that is. I can't say he's a bust just yet because it's under a new regime. I'm not talking about the Borgonzi regime. I'm talking about the coaching staff regime. It's a whole new ball game. So, again, I'm not trying to say, oh, every year is a reset year for Femi Oladejo. That's not what I'm trying to get to. It said you have a new coaching staff. You got to let this thing breathe a little bit. That's the big issue I have with just fans in general, along with just the NFL in general, is that it's such a microwave society. You got to have production now. I get that. I feel like that clock starts now with a guy like Borgonzi, Saleh, and Dable with the guys they got this year. You get what I'm saying with that? I think the exception to the rule is last season's draft class. The non-exception to the rule is this year's draft class.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Hey, did you know that we don't like sports or football or like working at a radio station or a radio show?
That's fine.
There's a guy on YouTube. He talks about Diana Rossini every day. You should go check him out. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. We'll talk about football coming up next. How's that sound? We'll talk about who is your breakout candidate for the upcoming Titans season. We'll discuss that coming up next to start off hour number 3 of Next Man Up here on 102.5 The Game. Final hour of Next Man Up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 102.5 The Game. As I just said the station twice, so sorry about that. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. So let's talk about football, because that's all you people want to hear about. And I don't blame you, because I want to talk about football too. And we love you, of course. There are never any hard feelings with anyone on this program. And I mean anyone. Even if they are no longer here, there are no hard feelings. But I want to talk about breakout candidates for the Titans. Who is your breakout candidate for the upcoming season? And you mentioned Femi Oladejo. I think Femi Oladejo is going to be at the top of a lot of people's lists. In fact, Dustin in Hopkinsville on our text line, 615-737-1025. Our text line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, yes, with Femi Oladejo. You have to let it play out. And with the new coaching staff, we obviously had hers for coaches. A couple were decent, but Brian Callahan, the leader, was trapped. So again, with Will Levis, he was under Callahan, so the verdict is still out on him. Yeah, a lot of that is going to be under the blame of Brian Callahan, similar to what we talked about with Will Levis. A lot of that, the volume of play you saw from him was under Will Levis / now I'm blanking on the interim coach's name.
Mike McCoy.
Mike McCoy.
There you go.
Hi, Joe. Come on in.
Go ahead.
Anyways, but a lot of what you are going to see in the development of these players is what's wrong, or how did they look under Brian Callahan?
Yeah, I mean,
and how do they transition from Callahan to Saleh?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, going back to the Femi Oladejo point, and Dustin brings it up great, is that you have Brian Callahan, who, again, didn't really become a true leader as a head coach. And you have that fall by Mike McCoy, who was just the interim, just to keep things, at ease for the time being. There's no growth for a young player like that. What's the direction? What's the leadership? There's none. So you got to try to figure out how do you bounce and just learn off of that. And that's the big thing, is you have to be self-taught in that first season, which doesn't help out a player like Femi at all. Now that you have Robert Saleh as your head coach, you have direction, you have leadership, and you have just someone giving you orders. That is a true coach. That's somebody that wants to see you succeed, and kind of not only for the player itself, but for his job security. If he can go and turn a guy like Femi Oladejo around, that goes to show you that you don't have to draft a player under Robert Saleh to see that this can work. You can grab guys from other regimes and other players in free agency that were not even in his system, that they can make it work. So again, that's a lot of optimism on paper. We just have to see what happens going forward.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If you were to ask me my breakout candidate, I would go on the defensive side of the ball as well. I'd go with Kevin Winston. I think he has all the intangibles to be a really, really good safety in this league. We just haven't seen the volume of play.
Sure.
Because of injury. And it's similar to Femi Oladejo. I think if he can get his gears into gear, that's not a saying, but if he can get his bleep together, he can be a good player in this league. I'm curious to see how he fits a solid defense, because we know Saleh likes to stop the run and play fast and violent. Kevin Winston is a fast and a violent player. If you go back and watch his Penn State tape, or even the little tape he has with the Titans, I think Kevin Winston is going to be a good player for the Titans. He just got to get healthy, and he's got to get consistent.
Yeah, and there's something that it's kind of interesting to look at when you see the Titans depth chart, and you see Kevin Winston as one of those safeties. They bring in another guy in Tony Adams, who was in Kansas City for the longest time, probably knows Borgonzi real well. You then go into other, facets of this defense. You're bringing in players from the previous regimes of their last stoppage point. You can kind of start facilitating the identity of what they're trying to do. They can learn from these veterans. And again, kind of that new wave of younger players, as I've already reiterated a couple times. But a guy like Kevin Winston, you make a great point, Connor. Need more out of him when it comes to just production on the field.
Yeah, let's see. Let's get to your thoughts on our text line, 615-737-1025. John says, people say Levis stunk under Callahan, but QB-wise, who has Saleh developed? That's a good point. But I think you have to look at the teams and the situations that Saleh was in. Mm-hmm. When Saleh was the coach at New York, who was the quarterback?
Zach Wilson. And Aaron
Zach
Rodgers.
Wilson, who was a bust, and Aaron Rodgers, who was already a finished product. We know what Aaron Rodgers is. When he's a defensive coordinator at San Francisco, he's not going to develop a quarterback. So I think you're taking kind of a low volume stat there. It's true. He hasn't developed a quarterback, But as a defensive coach, do you really need him to develop a quarterback, especially when your offensive coordinator is Brian Daboll, who that's his job, or whoever comes in next year, assuming Brian Daboll leaves, that's his job to work with the quarterback. And I understand the narrative is he's the head coach. He oversees all, but what side of the ball is he calling plays for? The defense.
Right.
It's his job to hire someone to help develop the quarterback, whether that be a coordinator or a quarterback's coach or both. But Robert Saleh, has not developed a quarterback in this league. Was only a head coach for 2 years, by the way. And, I think when you're taking a defensive coach from this, I don't think that's a great narrative there.
No, it isn't. And like going back to his time in New York, Robert Calabrese was the quarterback's coach the first year Saleh was there. Then you're followed by Nathaniel Hackett because Aaron Rodgers comes in the fold. Again, the partnership between a quarterback coach and a quarterback like Rodgers and Hackett, that was already established. So it's just Saleh kind of saying, all right, I guess I'm absorbing this. It's a 2 is to tango, right? That's the way this thing rolls. So he didn't really have a huge say in that quarterback room. That's the big issue with the whole entire thing to the narrative. Just giving more context to it.
4-3-1-2. This is Gunnar Henderson.
Well, he was a breakout player last year in Major League Baseball. We refrain from talking about baseball, but we know what he's talking about.
Yeah, Gunnar Henderson. Yes, he is, of course, talking about. Now I'm blanking.
Gunnar Helm.
Gunnar Helm.
Yeah.
Why did I blank on that? I love Gunnar Helm.
He is somebody that I think you look at Brian Daboll and the way he facilitates an offense. That's a guy you're going to see a lot of yak yards out of if they use him.
Well, he's going to be used in that tight end 1 position, I think. And we've talked about the tight end spot and how that's going to work. I think you're going to see some split snaps between Gunnar Helm and I almost said Cody Bellinger. I almost used another one. Daniel Bellinger.
Yep.
But I think Daniel Bellinger is more of a blocking tight end. I think he's more of your goal line threat. Who did I compare him to in front of you?
What?
Anthony Ferguson.
That's right. Yeah, because then we got to Fasano, Anthony Fasano.
Anthony Fasano. Yeah.
Going back to the draft coverage, if you guys listen to that,
Supernaw.
Yeah,
Philip Supernaw. We're mixing football and baseball players up. So see, baseball is relevant, people.
Exactly.
But yes, I think Gunnar Helm is definitely going to be a breakout candidate this season. The other one I would say is maybe already an established guy. But I'm curious to see how John Franklin Myers looks in this defense, especially paired along Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, and again, John Franklin Myers was previously with Robert Saleh. I guess you could say he was in Denver, and then previously before that, he was in New York with Saleh. So again, you're bringing in familiar guys to the system and see how they can kind of evolve with it. But Jeffrey Simmons, he has to have a breakout year. We talk about players having breakout years. I think Jeffrey Simmons has to have a breakout year for a guy like John Franklin Myers, because more than likely there are teams that are going to double team Jeffrey Simmons that will open up more opportunities for guys like John Franklin Myers.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And look, you can bull rush the two. I think TD and I talked about this on Thursday is you have so many opportunities with what you can do with those two. You can set one up on the edge and send them. You can bull rush them to the quarterback. One can be double teamed, and that opens up an opportunity for the other one to get to the quarterback and or stop the run. So I like the opportunities that those two provide each other. We talked about this the other day, but I think the defensive front for the Titans is the position I feel most safe about, specifically the D-line. Edge rushers, I'm a little bit iffy about, but the D-tackle position, I feel really, really good about. So I think if you're going to look for a position to be excited about on this defense, it's going to be that.
Well, you make a good point when having a lot of depth at that, defensive side, like the defensive line, that is. I'm not too worried about the edge rushers. I'm really not.
Really?
Because if you have a lot of depth in the interior defensive line, that's going to create more opportunities for your edge players. And not only edge players, but your linebackers. You mentioned Cody Barton being one of those guys you'd like to see step up this season. I think that also opens up an opportunity for him to be really good.
I'd like to see him step up simply because I don't know what his role is. I mean, you draft Anthony Hill in the second round, and you already have Cedric Gray. And those are two guys paired up together that I think work really well. And then even if you want to rotate guys in, you've got James Williams, who I think has proven himself as a contributor on special teams, and he can contribute on the defensive side of the ball as well. So I'm just curious of the role of Cody Barton. It's not that I don't want him around. I think he's a good player, and I think he's a good veteran guy to have in the locker room. But I'm just kind of curious of what kind of role he's going to provide this team, knowing what we know and that they drafted a guy at his position in the second round.
Yeah, obviously, before coming to Tennessee, he had 100 plus total tackles. Last season with the Titans, only had 81. There's a little bit of dip in production, but again, you got to remember that coaching staff last season. I think now having a true direction, that's going to have an uptick. And again, he's one of the 4 linebackers in rotation there, so you're going to get, personally to me, you're going to get more production out of him just from the system in general, not just from the way he plays. It's going to be the system that helps out his play rather than himself helping himself out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
That made sense.
Yeah, no, it worded.
Yeah,
it made sense. The thought was there. Something, you're speaking to the king of a guy who can't word words. So
words are hard.
Words are very hard. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to get into the conversation, we'll continue this coming up next. Plus, let's play best case scenario here, folks. If everything, and I mean everything, falls into place, similar to kind of what the Patriots saw last year, what's the ceiling for this Titans team? We'll discuss that coming up next, right here on Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, who didn't inform Joe Dubin that he was filling in today.
My bad. I didn't know.
I mean, he sent you a schedule months ago, and you didn't even fill it out. So what are you doing?
My bad. The application, I forgot. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
I'll get with the program.
Just get things going. I mean, what are we doing? Speaking of getting things going, who is going to get things going for the Titans this year? Who is your breakout candidate for the upcoming season? I think it's turned into which position group are you most confident in? Because Jeremy in Clarksville says, I'm most confident about the Titans O-line. I'm confident they will dominate discussions come on. Okay, he had me in the first half, not going to lie. But, I think that's going to be a topic of conversation is how do you feel about this offensive line? I think the Titans feel good about it. I don't think anyone else feels good about it, including myself and probably including you as well. So
yeah, the tackle positions are still question marks for me. As much as I want to believe in JC Latham, I know he's young. He's like, 21, 22 years old in that roundabout way. So again, yes, young player, but you got to give it time on that. He's 23, excuse me. Give it time on that. You need some production out of him immediately at that right tackle position, but left tackle, it's just get through this year and move on. With Dan Moore Jr. You got to just get through this season and move on. But
yeah, I mean, it's 1-year deals from here on out. And look, if Dan Moore breaks out this season and, looks like a capable left tackle, then great. You can renew him another year. You can bring him back. And that's a position you don't have to worry about. If not, guess what you're going to have to do? Probably address it in the draft. So the offensive line is probably the biggest question mark for the Titans this season. And honestly, I'm not sure there's much you can do at this point to improve it.
Right now, no, because that financial number that you had in free agency is slowly dwindling down. They're now, according to Over the Cap, to $54 million because of that guaranteed contract to Carnell Tate over the weekend. So fully guaranteed, by the way. The last name I can remember they got that was Jaden Higgins at Houston, the Texans, that second-round draft pick. So the number is starting to slowly come down for the Titans when it comes to the financial compensation to use from. I think they're second overall across the league. The 49ers have the most, I think, at like 69 or something like that. I have to go back and look at the exact
sounds
number.
right.
But no, I just think this offensive line, get through this season and see what you can do. But as for a breakout player or I guess skill team or a skill position that is, excuse me, I'd say the wide receiver room has to break out 100%.
Yeah.
You guarantee money to Carnell Tate, fully guaranteed. That now shows the direction of he has to be an immediate production player. Like I know that it was Corey Curtis or somebody that mentioned 60 yards a game. That gets you to 1,000, right? And that was his argument. 60 is great. At this point with the guaranteed money, you're now kind of forcing him to a tough position as a player to produce a little bit more than that.
No, I agree with that. You give a guy that contract, and it's not about the contract. It's about what's in the contract. It's what's guaranteed, and you guaranteed him all this money. You're obviously expecting big things out of him, so he's got to deliver on that. Keegan says year two or younger guys, I think, can have the biggest opportunity to provide some wins this season. Pat Coogan and Jackson Slater, I think both have good chances to get real playing time, and if they work out, they could turn the offensive line into some sort of strength.
I'm starting to come around on Jackson Slater. If he can kind of fit in at that right guard position and really be productive, now you've solidified. And again, if Austin Schlottman is the center at this position that is going to really flourish, I would be concerned if Pat Coogan has some starting minutes for this team. I would like to see. Oh no.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I gotta announce this.
Please go ahead.
We gotta take care of the community first.
Sure.
There are 3 big bomb threats at 3 high schools in Rutherford County.
Oh my
in
goodness.
the Murfreesboro area. Thanks to Wes and Hermitage for texting us that. We'll keep you updated on that. Praying that everyone is safe. All the kids are safe. All the teachers, all the faculty, all the parents. We'll pray that they're safe. And we'll keep you updated on that as well.
Looking currently, according to Fox 17, let's see. Don't see anything on that, but we will keep you updated.
Yeah,
we'll definitely try to get as much as possible here.
We'll keep you updated on that for sure. But if that is true, we're praying that everyone is safe, everyone's healthy, no casualties, nothing.
Right.
Obviously. It's hard to put into words what I want to say here just because it's something that you don't deal with on a daily basis. But Hopefully everyone's okay.
According to, if I have the right outlet here, WSMV, it has updates by the timing at 11 a.m. Rutherford County Schools report Smyrna, Laverne, Holloway High Schools are all in lockdown due to a bomb threat. So
is
be aware
Franklin
of that.
High School.
Yeah,
looks
so
like.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll keep you updated with that. I'm sure Chase and Joe will keep you updated as well.
Yeah.
But continuing with the show, and that is Tennessee Titans, I believe, was talking the offensive line, Jackson Slater and Austin Sloopman in the middle there. If you can solidify your three, again, goes back to the point of J.C. Latham at right tackle. If you can somehow facilitate a way to get him in the position to flourish under Robert Saleh, I honestly, more this is going to fall on the shoulders of Brian Daboll. That's my biggest worry is not only does he have to develop a quarterback and the wide receivers, but you're going to have to put a little bit more, emphasis on the line this year, especially at that right tackle position.
No,
that's what I'm more worried about.
Yeah, I agree. And, we've talked about this before. If Pat Coogan overtakes Austin Schlottman at that center position, how do you feel about that? I'm sorry, I'm distracted.
You're okay.
I'm getting a lot of texts from a lot of people on this, the bomb threats going on right now. So again, we sincerely hope you are safe and everyone makes it out just okay. Yeah. But everyone's going to talk about Pat Coogan. I think he's going to be a focal point of conversation because I think he's a good valued pick and you get him in the 6th round. Let's just not pretend that 6th round picks are day one starters every single time and that they pan out perfectly because it's not something that happens on a daily basis. I like the idea of Pat Coogan. I like the leadership he provides. He's a winner. He's been proven a winner. He was in a national championship with Notre Dame and, of course, won one at Indiana last season. So he's a proven winner. He's a proven leader. And I honestly get Ben Jones vibes from him from a mindset standpoint. I don't know if he's going to see the field to start out, at least, because I think they want to ride with veterans. They want to ride with Schlottman. They want to ride with Cordell Volson at that guard position. But as things get down the stretch, and let's say Schlottman is really, really bad, I could see him getting in there. I could see Slater getting in there too.
Sure. I mean,
I would start veterans to start things out.
I expect Jackson Slater to take some starting minutes. Like I'm talking like week 1, week 2, need to see some immediate production out of him because again, that is one of those picks you try to grab from a older regime into this new regime that needs to really work out. And again, that's less cracks in the bat in the draft for the interior line. You don't want to spend top picks on that. I'm still a little worried about the center position, not from the Austin Slottman situation, but the Pat Coogan situation. Yeah. Never thought I would say I'm concerned about a guy in Pat Coogan, and that is if he does get more starting minutes, like I'd say at the start of the season, just more time, just transitioning between different centers, that's what I'd be concerned about. That means to tell me that there is no solidified center for a guy like Cam Ward to develop under. Again, I know this is kind of weird to say, but when you have a quarterback and a center and you go under center, there is some chemistry that's built that way. I know it sounds funky, but there's some chemistry that is built under center. And Parker knows that from being a quarterback as well. Like you need to be able to just get a consistent rhythm down. And that all comes with, having a veteran presence at that center position, not a rookie. I just can't get on board with having a rookie center as your starter. I just can't get on board with that.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Coming up next, if everything falls into place like it did for the Patriots, for the Titans, what is the ceiling for this team? We'll get to that coming up next, right here on Next Man Up. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 1025 The Game. Oh, I mean, it makes me happy every time I hear it.
Was this played?
Oh, yeah. Well, the funny thing about this was this song is with Anderson .Paak, who they do a whole album together. He wasn't advertised for the show. And then he walks out. I'm like, there he is. They're going to do the whole thing. And then they did the whole thing. And it was great. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Nute, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on this Monday, talking Titans off season. So a little bit of, well, first let me tell you this.
Sure.
There are 7 schools in a bomb threat across Middle Tennessee. 3 of those have been lifted.
Yeah.
So
Jackson Central Mary Early College, Franklin High School, Page High School, and those are the 3. The other 4 right now, as of current time of 11:30, Page Middle School, Smyrna High School, and Antioch High School, and Laverne High School still under lock.
Okay, so keep them coming. We want all those lifted. We want everyone saved, and most importantly, we want whoever called those in to face the consequences.
And that's according to the sources of WSMV4. So there you go.
Okay, so we will keep you updated on that as that continues across our area. But as far as the Titans are concerned, concern on the offensive line there, and I think a lot of people are going to point to Pat Coogan and Jackson Slater as guys that are going to step up and, solidify that spot as the anchor on the offensive line. And that's good and all positive thinking, but the realistic possibility and the positive possibility are 2 different things. I would love nothing more than for those 2 to step up and hit the field and, make some noise on the field. But it's going to be, sorry, I'm watching the breaking news on the channel.
That's all right. Yeah, no,
But,
to kind of help you out with that, like Chris on text line said, who is the offensive line coach for the Titans? And that's Carmen Basilio, a guy that spent last season with the New York Giants. And for that being said, who was also in New York? Brian Daboll. And what player was there? A center at some point?
Schlotman.
Austin Schlotman.
Yep.
Again, the center is the compass of that offensive line, the technician of that offensive line. And when you have that direction with that guy that knows the system, knows the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator, you know what you're going to do. It's like, working from the outside or working from the inside out. That's how you build through the draft. That's how you build when you come in from other systems. You start from the inside and work your way out.
Yeah.
And we've seen that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not possible that Pat Coogan is going to overtake him. It is absolutely possible. If he comes into camp and outplays him, then I think they would be foolish to not start him because that's a good value guy you got in the 6th round. With that being said, there's a reason he fell to the 6th round because he doesn't have as high of a ceiling as some of the other guys. And look, a lot of people are going to say, well, the Titans have plenty of cap. Why don't they just go out and sign someone? It takes 2 to tango, first of all. And, June 1st is designated as that 2nd free agency day. So maybe someone could slide out there. But if they hadn't made a significant move in actual free agency, do you really think they would make a significant move now when they haven't hit the field with this unit?
Probably not. No,
I don't think so either. So I know we'll see. Again, I don't know everything, and I'm not going to say definitively, absolutely not. They're going to ride with this group because I don't know. I don't work with the team. I don't know. I work with the team. I don't work for the team. I don't know. But as far as the offensive line is concerned, this is a unit that's going to have some question marks coming into it. And I guess we all just have to trust the process because I'm part of you guys as well.
No, 100%. I mean, my big thing is when you look at the New York Giants last season from a offensive production, sure you had Jackson Dart, sure you had Cam Scatterby for a bit of time, sure you had Wan'Dale Robinson being one of those flourishing talents because Malik Neighbors was hurt. Darius Slayton, one of the veteran wide receivers that kind of helped out with that system. Again, you were still able to get a lot of production out of a guy in Wan'Dale Robinson last season because of that offensive line. I feel like there's a little bit more credit that needs to be given to Carmen Basilio as the offensive line coach to what he's done with New York. It was like a makeshift offensive line that really didn't have much ceiling at all. Ends up getting them, the amount of wins that they had. And again, when you see production from 2 seasons ago to last season with Wan'Dale Robinson, obviously the injury of Malik Neighbors, you have to have the offensive line protection for him to at least increase his yardage by 300 to 400 yards, which is what happened.
Yeah. So let's say that everything falls into place for the Titans, kind of like how it did for the Patriots. The Patriots had their quarterback step up and play at an MVP level. They had the last play schedule that helped them out. They had some key pieces on defense start to step up and become a formidable unit. So let's say that happens for the Titans on some level. What's the ceiling for this team?
Ceiling, again, I'm going to stick to my guns. I say they're just above 500. 9-8, right?
I would be okay with that, though.
Yeah.
Seeing where they were the last 2 years to getting to 9-8, I'd be okay with that.
I just looking at, again, kind of going back to the Carnell Tate guaranteed money that was on that contract over the weekend, it leads me to think, I mean, just on paper, the ceiling is continually growing, continually moving up, up, and up. So it's no longer can you get 6 wins on your win total. You can't double what you had last year. To me, this feels like a situation where the Titans have to at least not only double it, but triple it. And that's, you got to get to that 9-win mark. I think that's, again, you're at a point where you are kind of following the same trajectory as the Houston Texans when they drafted Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. They caught something with that rotation and that youth movement to where they were able to develop all the way to the playoffs and just be a really good ball club. And because of that, they've been able to develop really good defensive talents. They've been able to go sign guys in free agency, a former Titan in Azeez Al-Shaair. They signed him to I think it was a 3-year deal, if I'm not mistaken, a couple last year or so. So
Danico Autry.
Yeah, Danico Autry. You're able to poach a few guys from other teams that are able to develop and keep around. Same thing goes for the Tennessee Titans right now. When you look at this with the rookie class, and Jackie Marshall is one of those interior defensive linemen, you go and grab guys from the previous regime where Robert Saleh was in Jermaine Johnson and John Franklin Myers. So when you have those things, those are kind of the same pieces and the same trajectory that the Houston Texans were a few years ago. So to me, I do think the Titans have a opportunity to get 9 wins this season.
I think they do too. Things are just going to have to fall into place. Like, you need to see Cam Ward take a significant step, and that's going to be hard for him if the offensive line is what we think it's going to be. And like you mentioned, the wide receiver unit needs to be, I've been using the term respectable, because I think on paper they're a good unit. They're not the elite of the elite, but I think they're a good unit if they play their roles the way that they're supposed to play. So I think things are just going to have to fall into place. You need Robert Saleh to be a capable head coach. You need Brian Daboll to work his magic on the offense. You need best case scenario across the board to be a playoff contending team this year. If you were to ask me right now what I think the ceiling is, or actually what I think the total overall wins is for the Titans, I would say 6 to 7. Just because I think this is an improved team. I think this is going to be the next step. And then we'll get to next year playing in a new arena, playing in a new, whatever, new uniforms. I think this is what they want. They want that momentum heading into next season. A, so you go and you watch, but B, because it's a new era for them. It's a new era, new coach, new players, new uniforms. You need all these things to hit, and it starts this year. This is not just some throwaway year. This is a big year for the Titans. So you need to see some things start to hit and some progress being made.
Yeah, and I'm also going to bring up the Houston Texans once again. You look, and you mentioned the New England Patriots. How did the Titans get to that point of into the wild card and all the way up through that? That wild card game, let's go back to that for a quick second. The Houston Texans were only in that game because of the defense.
Yeah.
If the Titans are to maybe not regress, it's not the right word to use, but not, I guess, develop the way they hope for going into the season, I still think this defense is capable of carrying this team a long ways. I really do. Like, you have Cordell Flott, Alontae Taylor, 2 corners that you brought in that you were really high on. I mean, Alontae Taylor last season was just spectacular, especially against the Titans. His name was mentioned several times on the TV broadcast because of the impact he was having on the field. He can definitely bring that to a Robert Saleh defense. I know we've mentioned in the last hour or so about the interior defensive line, but again, you even mentioned Kevin Winston a while ago. Like, there is a lot of talent in that secondary that gets kind of forgotten about because of the extra bodies that you're bringing into this Robert Saleh interior defensive line.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is going to be the team to watch this year, I think, in the AFC, not because I think they're just going to be straight up competitive, but it's a matter of, is this franchise trending in the direction that you want it to? Do you have the right people in place doing that in your front office or your coach? Do you have the right positions filled in quarterback or wide receiver, which you just drafted in the first round? It's all about momentum. And look, I think if they come out with some positive momentum of this season, then I think they have the opportunity to be a force next year based on, what I think they could possibly do in free agency. I would love nothing more for them to pick 32nd in the NFL draft this year.
Yeah.
But it's just unrealistic of thinking. I think they're going to be sort of a middle of the pack AFC team, and that's fine because I'd rather be middle of the pack than bottom feeders like they have been the past 2 years.
Yeah, and when it comes to quarterback production, all they have to do is just, again, Joe says, be better than 3 other teams. When it comes to Cam Ward's development, just being better than 3 other teams, personally, I do think he's better than CJ Stroud. I think because of the progression we've seen from Stroud in Houston, that looks like it's not heading in the right direction. Cam Ward definitely can do that with this young wide receiver room. You add Calvin Ridley to that, see what that can do if that helps out for team purposes. But then you look at Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, again, is one of those players that has lost some pieces around him. Like, no longer has his college buddy, and that's Travis Etienne. So he went to New Orleans. You're missing, I think, Gabe Davis is no longer there, if I'm not mistaken. That's now a Buffalo guy.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk is now in Houston. That happened last season.
Brian Thomas has regressed.
Yes. Travis Hunter's now going to be playing defensive snaps primarily. So you don't really have many weapons on that offensive side of the ball for Jacksonville, which, again, bodes well for Tennessee's defense when it comes to, on paper, they probably are outmatching a lot of other teams right now in the AFC South.
Fast and violent, baby. Fast and violent. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Your last call for your texts and phone calls. We'll wrap things up coming up next. Connor Newt, Nick Frazier, Parker Keller here with you on 1025 The Game. feel like I'm in Morgantown, West Virginia right now. The
Motown, stand up.
We can't say the one thing that they say. ESP. We'll call it. There you go. It's wording for him. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Last segment here on this Monday. Chase and McJoe coming up right after us. Of course, it would not be a Connor Nute filled-in show if we didn't talk about college basketball.
Exactly.
What in the hell is the NCAA thinking expanding March Madness to 76 teams? I realized this happened, Friday?
Yeah, Thursday-ish, Friday-ish.
I was a bit preoccupied as I was graduating college, but now I can comment on it. I know why they're doing it.
And that is
money.
Oh,
what have you always told me? Everything in this country is money driven. So this is money driven too. This is about ad revenue. This is about, if we get more teams, we can get more viewers, and that's more money in our pockets. It's the NCAA being greedy. But the point I'm trying to make is why every time the NCAA has something good going for them, they ruin it. Like I thought the college football playoff at 4 teams was fine. They expanded it to 12. I was upset, and now I'm okay with it because it works. Now they're about to expand it again, and I think they're ruining it. When you expand a 68-team tournament, which is already a lot, to 76, and all of them are play-in games, why don't we just let everyone in? Like, come on. This isn't good. This isn't good for the sport. This is bad for college basketball. This is bad for college sports in general. It's bad. It's bad look for the NCAA, who already has a bad reputation. So I think they're just selling their souls for corporate greed. And it's not fair to the fan. And I realize there's nothing we can do about it. But your product is quite literally driven by fan participation. By expanding it, you are ruining the mindset of the fan. And I don't understand that.
And also, too, this was something that I brought up with Mike Organ on Friday, was that when you see a smaller school, like a group of 5 school, that is being forced to play out of conference schedules, like normally, if you go play at, let's say, Murray State versus Kentucky, right? Kentucky's going to pay Murray State to play them, correct? Yeah. So then when you look at that, maybe that number is going to be changed a little bit because of the amount of money that's involved with March Madness. That number should increase, right?
Yeah.
Well, if it doesn't, say Murray State ends up losing that game, they get their, $1.2 million check from Kentucky, whatever, just a fictional number. But then after that, they play a bunch of other out-of-conference games. Say that damages their reputation in their conference, where they don't win their conference championship. They don't get a bid for the NCAA tournament. What does that do financially for their program?
Right.
Puts them down the tube.
Well, it's like, what's the point of playing these big-time non-conference games now if everyone's going to get it?
Right.
For Kentucky, we're not going to play Kansas this year. We're going to play North Carolina A&T, and we're going to play them at Rupp Arena so we can make money for our school. What's the point? If everyone's going to get in, then why are we playing anything other than conference games? I don't get that. It's the same thing for college football. If we expand the thing to 24, then what's the point of playing the regular season if everyone's just going to get in? You're devaluing your product. And in college football's sake, what makes it important is the regular season. I will die on that hill. Regular season is the most important thing in college football. For college basketball, it's the tournament. But to get into said tournament, you got to play well in the regular season. If you're losing 14, 15, 16 games in the regular season, guess what? Now you still got the opportunity to get in on a play-in game in a 76-team tournament, which I don't know. I feel like maybe that kills Cinderella even more. And I've said this before. Cinderella is not what it used to be. Cinderella teams in college basketball are no longer your Florida Gulf Coast or your Loyola Chicago. Now it's your 10-seeded Texas or who was it? NC State making it to the Final Four. This kills it even more, I feel. Now you're going to see these teams that have played their way into the tournament, played their way in, 3, 4, 5, not that many, but 2 or 3 games to get that 16 seed just to get clobbered by Duke, which they would probably do anyway. But there's no more unexpectancies in March Madness as far as this is concerned. It's ruining the product. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's money.
It is money driven. Like on the surface, I understand the logic behind it. As of a couple years ago, CBS signed an $8.8 billion deal with the NCAA. So it's an annual $1.1 billion every single year. I get all that.
Yeah.
But on the surface, when you look at expanding the tournament, they want that whole entire week. That's what they want. They want it like how the NFL rules, the week in the fall, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football.
They want to run the ratings.
They want to run everything. So that entire week of March Madness, they want that. And right now, I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Basically, if you expand it, you're expanding it to Monday, not getting to Sunday. I think what the NCAA is trying to do is have 2 playing games played Sunday evening, and then the other games followed by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, it's going to be an all-day affair. And I've told you this before. Thursday and Friday of the NCAA tournament are the 2 most special days in sports.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're tainting it. Now by making it an all-day thing on Tuesday and Wednesday, it's not as fun. You're going to be burnt out of. So it's not as fun. Here you go, Parker. Keegan says, would Murray State rather play Kentucky once and win or enter a smaller tournament and win a championship?
I can't wait to get Corey back in here on Wednesday so I can give him more smoke.
Yeah, just make sure the entire show is interesting, not just the last hour and a half.
There you go. But that is an interesting point. Does that open up the opportunity for another tournament? Like we obviously know the NIT is there. We know the NIT is there.
CBI.
Did they talk about expanding the NIT?
I don't
know.
know.
But they're expanding the Players Era Festival in the beginning of the year, which is the NIL tournament they all play for.
Okay.
So the NIT is pretty much dead. I don't know how many of you actually watched that this year. I did not watch much.
I watched a second.
I don't think anybody watched The Crown either. So those things are dying.
Easy on that one. There's history involved with that. No, it makes no sense to me. Then, like, if you just obviously it is a money making driven thing, but it's a participation trophy. It's so nauseating to look and watch.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same. Like, if I don't want to get him started, but we talked about should there be a group of 5 playoff, and I feel like that would be a participation trophy. That said, I don't think a group of 5 could compete in the current tournament, but I feel like a group of 5 tournament would be a participation trophy. The same thing is said for the NIT or the Crown or the CBI or something like that. You know what we used to say the NIT stands for? Not in tournament.
True.
So it's a participation.
Not invited tournament.
Not invited. No one's interested tournament, which is kind of what I've been saying about the side segment. Who cares about the NBA draft lottery?
I didn't even know what was going on.
I didn't either. I said, they said, the Grizzlies got the number 3 pick. That's great. I won't watch. But you know what I call NBA? Nobody asked.
I like that
because no one cares.
I'll have to remember that. I will say I was a little invested in that Minnesota Spurs, not last night, but it was Friday night. There were some fouls that were not called at all. It was just
they don't call fouls in the NBA.
No, I mean it's been very touchy when you watch SGA play, but we're running out of time. I'll get that in another soapbox.
We'll do that. We'll save that for later. In conclusion, no one cares about the NBA. Everyone likes college basketball, and most importantly, everyone likes football the most.
Yeah, we've recognized that.
Yes, we have recognized that. Nick Frazier, I appreciate the opportunity.
Pleasure,
to
man.
Fill in with you. Appreciate Jake Lyman for taking a week-long vacation. He'll be back tomorrow with probably you again. So
Tuesday,
yeah.
Saturday. We got Saturday coming up.
I'll see you Saturday. Well, if I'm ever working here again, we'll see.
We'll see.
That'll do it for us here on Next Man Up. Stick around, though. Chasing Big Joe coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.